On today's show, it is Friday Fun and Games, and today I'm going to talk about why is American style football political. And for my second topic, I'm going to talk about why I think video games are good for you. And the third topic is going to be why do games like Dungeons and Dragons help with creativity? And at the end of the show, I'm going to review the card game Gloom by Keith Parker. And this is for you sadistic game players who like a twisted game. Gloom is the game for you. Anyway, my name is Ian Hopfe. I'm an HR consultant. You are watching Ian the HR Pro live podcast, where I'm dangerously unscripted, but that's only if you ask me questions. So ask me questions. And on Fridays, it's ask your unquestions in the comments. If you've got an HR question or small business question or indigenous relations question, go ahead and ask it. Even though Friday, we're trying to keep it a little more light and upbeat with just about anything, games, pop culture, sports. I don't enjoy sports that as much, but I will talk a little bit about sports. So feel free to get in on the chat, join the conversations. Oh my God, I just burnt my face off with that tea. Exciting, very exciting. Oh, don't make my collar look good. Anyway, first a cough, and then I can get started. I am right on time. I think I started right on time, 11:33. I will honestly try to get a little more 11:30-ish in nature. And that's 11:30 Mountain Standard Time here in Alberta. So it's kind of like a lunch and learn. Listen while you eat your lunch. Just don't choke on your food when I make a terrible joke. Please, please, please don't do that. If you need to get a hold of me for any reason, HR business consulting stuff, go into all my links here, the QR code in the top corner of your screen. That takes you to my link tree, which has all my links on it, the important stuff. So linktr.ee/Ian the HR Pro. Exciting. So I'm going to get into the show today without delay. I've been thinking, I always think about football. If I was to ever watch sports, it would probably be football. And now this is because of my kind of political background. When I was younger, I ran multiple times provincially and federally, and even for my local municipality and for my own nation, the Big Stone Cree Nation, because I am Indigenous. So I was very political back when I was in my, my early to mid 20s. So back in the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s is where I was very political. And my mind seems to revert back to politics a lot of times when I'm talking about stuff, especially when I'm thinking about sports. And I try to relate that experience to sports sometimes. When you think about a lot of sports, it's chasing a ball and not really anything else happens. You think about baseball. I'm trying to hit the ball so I could go across the plates. The playing field is the same every time you get up. Every time you get up to the plate, it's the same 3 plates you're trying to get through to get back to home, right? Nothing changes. It's always the same. It's the same size. There's no, I don't know how to, there's basically no difference, right? It's always the same. Makes it fair, makes it even. You're just trying to hit that ball and get on base. If you ever watch Moneyball, you want to get on base. The more you get on base, the better chance you have of making a scoring for your team, right? So, but you think about other games like football, traditional football, aka soccer here in North America. It is, again, you're pushing the ball back and forth, and the playing field never changes. You get the ball, you have the same length of field to go every time. Every time, nothing changes. But in that respect, there is a little bit more teammate interaction. With baseball, it's me, it's the bat, it's the ball, right? This is it. This is it. Right now, in this moment, I'm 100% of the team. I'm 100% of the moves. I'm 100% of what's going to happen. It's just me, the bat, and the ball. Whereas with football, aka soccer, I'm interacting with other team members, and we're trying to make a score happen. But the playing field doesn't change, right? There's no change in playing field. So, and you look at other sports, tennis, I'm on my side, you're on your side, pickleball, badminton, ping pong, they're basically the same thing. I got my side, you got your side, and I'm just trying to make the ball go out on your side, right? Like, there's no change. When I win a round, my side doesn't get smaller, so it's harder for you to hit, or the opposite, your side gets smaller, so then, whatever, so I have more room to play, right? Like, there's no change in the playing field, what I'm trying to say. What other major sport? Volleyball is the same sort of thing. My side, your side, we are working as a team to get the ball over, but the playing field doesn't change. There's no halftime change or something like that. You do think about maybe the sides change in some sports. So now maybe the sun's in your eyes, maybe it's not. Maybe the opposing team's fans right behind you now instead of way out in front of you, right? Like, things like that change, but the dynamics of the games don't change. So when I say football, American style football is like politics, or it's very political, I'm thinking gaining territory, waging a war to gain territory or defend my territory, right? This is very political in nature, and things change. Things change in politics and war. The territory changes. My supply lines are longer. My supply lines are shorter. I've cut off access to vital resources for you, or you've cut off access to my vital resources, whatever, right? The playing field changes. So in that respect, American style football, the playing field changes. Every new play, the playing field mostly changes. Sometimes you don't gain any ground or you don't lose any ground, and you end up from the same spot. But it's that gradual fight for territory. We got to get close. We got to get closer. We got to get closer so that we have a better chance to run the ball in. We have a better chance to throw the ball into one of our receivers, or we have a better chance of punting it in, right? Because we're close enough that it makes sense, right? So it's this real fight for territory. It's a real political game in that respect. And so I think that's why I enjoy football. I don't watch it a whole lot. But if I was to spend some time watching a sport, it probably would be football. You think, oh, Ian, you're Canadian. You should be watching hockey. I'm not terribly good at skating, and it feels kind of boring to me. I once had a friend who used to play the hockey games, the video game hockey games, and he used to tell me that, oh, the game's different every time, man. It's so exciting. It's different every time. And I'm thinking, how is it different? It's not different. The field doesn't change, right? Football, the field changes. I've gained territory. You've lost territory. I now have an easier chance of scoring because I've stolen some of your territory, right? Like, that's a changing game. The battlefield, the playing field changes. So I enjoyed that, but I think when your sibling loves something so much, you just naturally have to hate it, right? It might be the best thing on the planet and they love it so much, but you have to hate it because you're the sibling. You just have to hate it. There's no way you can ever agree with your sibling, right? That's how I feel about hockey. Everybody loves it here in Edmonton and Alberta and in Canada, but I'm gonna have to say I don't want to watch it anymore. Like, when I was a teenager, I kind of got into the hype. I mean, and then the trade happened, and I haven't really watched hockey at all since then. It's kind of like if I happen to be at the VIP lounge with my wife and we're eating a meal before we go into our movie at the VIP theater, then it's just glancing over and looking at the hockey game. That's about as much hockey as I've watched in at least 25 years, at least. So, yeah, American style football, political game, fight for territory so you have better resources, aka the ability to score. Whereas in all the other games, everything's exactly the same. So, anyway, so that's why American style football to me is political. If you got any questions on that, you want to chime in on that, go ahead, make a comment, ask an unquestion, and we can further take this into like the business realm by saying business, small business, it's constantly changing. The playing field constantly changes depending on the strategies and tactics you're using for marketing and getting customers. You could have two identical businesses, and one is using organic traffic to build itself, and the other is using paid ads to build itself, right? They're completely different games because they're doing it differently, right? And no way is wrong, but the businesses, they can succeed both ways if they're doing it right. And I think about that with HR too. There is a million ways to make your players, your employees happy, but there are some base things. Like when you think about football, you still need a field of a certain size. You still need the football. You still need the refs. You still need uniforms to identify each other. You need the goalposts that are visible, right? There is these basic things that have to be put into place. So when you're thinking of small business and your employees, I'm thinking things like You need to pay well, so above a living wage. You need to give them cost of living pay increases every 6 months or every year. You need to give them the ability for merit pay increases if they're rock stars, if they're that star player on your team. They need to be able to get that bonus, right? Everything else kind of becomes bonus, the benefits of being there. But you get that base stuff done, you've got a playing field. And everything else is the number of players you have, how good your coach is, how good your team captain is, how well your special teams can come out. Like there's all these different things that we can equate to, good benefits, good managers that don't micromanage, the ability to work from home or have some sort of hybrid flexibility in the work day, right? All that's the plays, that's the manager, that's your water boy, giving your team good water, right? Like it's all part of that. And I think the idea of football, political, business is kind of a good example of what you're trying to do with a small business, right? So I don't know how loud that chill music is to you right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll try turning it down just a little bit. Seemed loud here to me. Anyway, I changed it now. So, yeah. If you're thinking of business, think of American style football. I don't know why it's called football. Nobody ever touches the ball with their foot except for your punter, and we're right at the start of the game, right? Like, oh, anyway, yawn. Sorry, I gotta get that tea into me, or else I'm gonna pass out here, and you're gonna watch an hour of me just snoring. So, that was a quick topic. That felt like a quick topic. Anyway. Topic number 2 for today. Why I think video games are good for you. Right? Now, oh my God. Growing up, we hear this. Stop playing the video games. You're going to rot your eyes. You're going to become antisocial. You're going to, I don't know what some parents say. All I know is when I was a preteen and a young teenager, I think video games might have saved my life, might have kept me out of trouble. Because instead of going out with friends and doing things you do with friends, you know the things, I'm not going to talk about it, right? At that age, all the experimentation and things like that. I was at home, safe. I was safe at home, and I was playing video games. These games that saved my life. Link game. Basically, I don't know which version of Zelda that it was, but the gold case. Basically, it's Link's side quest, because it's got nothing to do with Zelda at all, right? So that game, I spent a lot of time playing it. Final Fantasy. That is like the OG game, the original Final Fantasy on Nintendo, man. I love that game. I Still want to play that game. And I think I might try to see if I can download it on my Xbox just so I can play it. Spent a lot of time playing that game. Kept me out of trouble. Sim City on Nintendo 64. Oh man. That video game, that kept me out of a lot of trouble. I would start up SimCity on Friday as soon as I got home. Started a new city. I would always start a new city on Friday, right? And I would play it Friday evening, have some supper. I don't know, my mother working 2 jobs back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? I just played SimCity all night long. When I went to bed, I left it playing so that my city would continue to make money all night long while I was sleeping. So first thing in the morning, I would have all this extra money so I could build the city. So, when, I got a little bit older, I started playing the more first-person type games. I absolutely love the Oblivion games. Not the Oblivion, the Elder Scroll games. The one I'm playing right now is, I played Oblivion. There's the one after where it's in the north, where it's cold. Totally lost the game. Anyway, I kind of like these first-person strategy type video games. Because what I found out, I don't exactly have the best hand-eye coordination. Nowadays, you see these people playing games online and they're recording it and they're going live showing them playing their games. And I have no idea how they're able to aim that gun so fast and shoot. When I play first-person shooting, I loved Halo, but I was terrible at it, especially when we played in the arena games and we played against each other. My gun was going all over here like this and that. No matter how much I tried to adjust the sensitivity of my controller, I was always all over the place. That hand-eye coordination, those micro movements needed, I just didn't have. But you have these amazing people now who have this amazing hand-eye coordination. Is that a bad thing? Are they rotting their brain because they have this amazing hand-eye coordination? No. I think that's pretty cool. I think I might be getting hot. I'm going to take my sweater off now. Anyway. So yeah, I think video games are good for you. And the games I play now on my computer that you're watching right now, this computer on my Mac, I play Civilization 5. No, I haven't updated it yet. And I also play the Civilization, the space one. I couldn't get that into that as much because it was just on a different planet with space tech, with more advanced sounding tech, right? It's always enjoyable to go from just little villagers with a spear to nuclear age and spaceships, right? That's kind of exciting. That makes a little more sense. But when it was the space version of it, I enjoy playing it now and again, but I'd rather play Civilization 5 itself, right? So I haven't played 6, so I don't know what the difference is. But like $35, $40 purchase, how many years ago? That's good value, man. That is good value for me. And what else? I just downloaded on Steam Stellaris. Now, this is basically an advanced version of Master of Orion. If you've ever played the original Master of Orion, or Master of Orion 2 was the bomb back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Me and my friends, man, we'd either just played Hot Seat, me and my friend Johnny, and that was fun. We would try to play more people on Hot Seat, but that was always kind of annoying because we just took forever. Especially when you start getting into designing spaceships and stuff like that, right? And we would also bring a bunch of computers together. So we all brought our PCs. I think I got a hold of a network hub. So we would link in. We did a few LAN parties, right? We linked all our computers together, and we were able to play in the same room, 4 or 5 of us, all playing Master of Orion. Still turn-based, so still kind of slow, but deadly fun, man. Oh, and we would even play teams so that we wouldn't attack certain people on the map because they were part of our team. We would do all the good deals with them and stuff like that. And it's Stellaris is kind of this advanced version of that. There's more planet strategies, planet stuff, right? And the diplomacy is more advanced, and you don't just suddenly meet people and you can communicate with them. No, it takes years of research and communication just to learn the people's stupid language, right? Before you can actually meet them. So it's definitely, there's a lot to it, and I'm still very early in the learning stages on this, but the strategy is coming. When I started playing Stellaris, this was like last month or something like that. I was also watching YouTube videos on strategy, on how to start a game, beginner strategies, whatever. None of it made any sense, man. So I'd watch a few videos, then I would start playing, and I would slowly start to understand the menus and the words they're using, and the terminology. It started to make sense. So now I was able to go back and watch other videos, maybe rewatch some of these strategy videos, and it started to make sense. So it was kind of like I was doing my homework to learn to play the game. But the strategy, you got to start learning the strategy and things like that. I played Civilization 5 for years, like 5 years, before I realized I could adjust how my cities produced stuff. I never went into the city screen, so I never adjusted. It was just like, if I was broke, I would just try to get more stuff that gave me money, but I didn't go into the city screen and adjust a city to say, hey, let's make money, right? Let's just use these special resources that give us more money. I didn't do any of that. So it was very hard when I first started playing. And I learned finally that in Civilization 5, the most important thing is building up your population. When you start a new city, you want that city to get as much population as possible. So really the most important tech or buildings in the early game is the games that help you grow population. So building a few more farms and things like that, right? And so you can grow food, because the more food you get, the faster your population grows. So that was a strategy I didn't know about until way late, years after playing the game, right? And that's something I learned in Stellaris quite soon. Well, a strategy, not the growth strategy, but the strategy of building a ship. I guess when I played Master of Orion, I didn't understand. I was just looking for the biggest, baddest weapon, giving me the most damage, and I would make sure all my ships were upgraded to that weapon that does all the damage. And there was nuances back then with Master of Orion, where when you built a ship, it was, there was range of your weapons. So different types of weapons had different ranges, and things like that, right? My friend Johnny, I remember him back then, 25 years ago, building his ships with just armor and hull and missiles. His offensive, the only offensive thing he had on his ships was missiles. I have this vague recollection of him saying that. He just stacked up his armor and his hull strength and then just put missiles, just straight missiles. Meanwhile, I was like, well, we'll do one missile, we'll do one lasers, and we'll do one of this other one to try to get a real variety. He would kick butt because the missiles had long range. It was a long range weapon. So he would come into battle, shoot his missiles, and the other ship, normally me, I maybe had a missile and I could shoot it, but then I would have to move closer, get my mid-range weapons going. Meanwhile, he's already hit me several times with his missiles from this distance, and he could move back and still fire, and I'd have to, and then I'd finally get close enough to use my close range weapons, and at this point he just obliterated me because he'd already hit me multiple times with all his missiles. So the long range weapons tend to be king in these space battle games, and that's exactly what I learned and I'm doing with Stellaris right now. I'm using the smallest ship, the Corvettes, and my only weapon is missiles, and I decided not to put shields on whatsoever. I just put armor and hull strength, just like what Johnny used to do. And when I learned this in the video, it immediately snapped, and I was like, God, that's what Johnny was doing. And he knew this 25 years ago with this older Master of Orion game, right? And I was like, what a guy. So my friend Johnny, he's got an amazing mind for strategy. I like to think I'm good at strategy, but he just blows everyone away. He's very quiet about it, and I mean, when you sit down and play a game with him, you think, oh, this guy's kind of I don't know. He's good at pretending that he's not smart when he is. He's ultra smart. He's got this mind for strategy. So I know when I sit down to play a game with him, it's just like, it's going to be tough. It's going to really push my brain, right? And so I think I'm better than the average bear with strategy. And I've seen this, when I relate this back to my business stuff, the creativity and being able to help my clients with the outside thought process that they're not thinking of because they're busy in the business, in the trenches, trying to make it work. Or I can see the big picture from the outside, and my creative mind says, oh God, you're missing all kinds of stuff, or this could improve it, or whatever, right? Like that um, the video game strategy stuff comes out in me. So when I think about my friend Johnny, oh my God, he would just kill it, right? He would just kill it in business if he could keep that strategy mind on. Um, let's move on to the next topic, man. Next topic. Why do games like Dungeons and Dragons help with creativity? Now, I brought this up just now when I mentioned my business and my ability to help my clients with their consulting, through my consulting, through HR and things like that, right? I think a big part of that also, the strategy part is more the video games, but the creativity is the Dungeons and Dragons. As an Indigenous person, I just naturally like to tell stories, and I like a good story, right? And I really appreciate it, and I feel honored when someone tells me a story, their personal story or whatever, right? Like, you're sharing knowledge with someone. It's very important. So when I play Dungeons and Dragons, I love the storylines. And for most of my career playing Dungeons and Dragons, I was the dungeon master. So I got to tell stories. It was fun. I cared more about the story than the characters. I really didn't want to see characters die. So I did a lot of fudging of numbers and just coming in like God and saying, no, this is what actually happened. Right. And, like, because I wanted a story. I wanted a good story. So, my God, it's a little bit dark, but my characters got into a bar fight one time. And this is probably the bar fight where I was like, that's it. I'm not allowing fights in bars anymore in the local tavern, right? So they got into this fight. There must have been about 50 people in the bar, including the 4 or 5 of them, or how many characters we had playing that day. And they got into a fight. It was hardened, characters that were multiple levels up, had all these weapon skills, magic skills. Like, it was a massacre. And my friend Johnny, again, he was playing some big hulky character. He was a fighter or something like that. And he hit someone so hard. Now remember, the people that they were fighting in the bar were just non-player character townsfolk. It was a bunch of drunkards. It wasn't goblins, wasn't orcs, it wasn't dragons. It was a bunch of drunk townspeople. Basically, townsfolk are level 0 characters, right? There's just, they got like 1 hit point. You blow on them too hard and they explode, right? Like, it is very sad. They have very low hit points, and that's a little more true to life. We as humans have very low hit points. It doesn't take much to hurt us and kill us, right? So these are non-player characters, and they're fighting these people. It is a massacre. They're killing them left and right. And my friend Johnny, he hits this one townsfolk so hard with the dice, right? He rolled his die roll, and I think he hit it with a critical hit, so he would have rolled a natural 20 plus all his bonuses. So, being the dark game I was, the dark DM I was, I said what happened, right? So I told everybody that, Johnny hit so hard, and he was like standing on the table in the middle of the bar, holding this guy up, and he hit him so hard he basically just ripped his spinal cord out and pulled his head off. This poor townsfolk, right? And it was just a massacre. And I believe that was the bar fight in Dungeons and Dragons where I said, no, there's no more fighting in taverns, in the bar, in the inn. It's not going to happen, because these weren't fighters. These were just townsfolk. I don't know what provoked. I don't remember the exact storyline at the time. I don't know what provoked them. Maybe the townsfolk were all evil and supplying information to the local villain. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, after that, I tried to keep them a little more in line. But when you have a game like Dungeons and Dragons, it's all about creativity. If I'm a character, I used to give extra experience points to players that acted out their character better. Oh, let's beat these people up in the bar. Oh, I'm gonna kill you all, and they're playing, they're acting. I would give that person a few more extra experience points because they're making the game enjoyable, right? And so telling the story, it allowed me to be creative. A lot of times I'm coming up with puzzles, right? You are in a dungeon. You walk into this room and you all get in and the door closes behind you. There's no way you can open that door. How do you get out of the room, right? And now there has to be a certain combination of searches, trap searches, noticing stuff, trying to get the right roll, coming up with an idea that's totally out of the box, right? Oh, I realized we picked up this old thingamajigger in the last quest. I'm going to try to use it to do this. I'm like, oh my God, creative idea. It may or may not work. Still a creative idea. Experience points, right? Give me a creative idea. I might reward you and say, yeah, damn straight, you got out. That was not what I was thinking when I tried to create the puzzle situation. But you came up with such an ingenious solution that, yeah, it works and you get experience points, right? So that creativity, not only me as the dungeon master telling the story, creating the situation, but you as a character playing your character, what your character might or might not know. I mean, so you're like, hey, I want to do this. Do I know how to do that? Right? We as modern day humans know of certain technologies and things like that, right? Which your Dungeons and Dragons character from some other plane of existence on some magical world, they don't know what a telephone is, right? I made the mistake of saying, oh, you looked through someone's pockets and you found a photo of someone. It's like, they don't have photographs. They don't have that technology in Dungeons and Dragons. So I had to backpedal and say, no, it's not a photograph. It's like a wooden sketch, artsy wooden sketch of somebody, right? I had to really backpedal on that one. And I remember the guys, they wouldn't let it down. They really razzed me on that one. So that creativity is something that you learn from games like Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is a paper and pencil game. Traditionally, you can play video game versions of it if you want, but traditionally, it's paper and pencil. Right? You have your... I'm going to pull one out. Yeah, I got one here. Come on now. So you have your character sheet like this. It's got all your character data, and it's all written in pencil because you are erasing stuff and changing stuff as you play the game. So it's got all your stats and, you know, your weapons and your background story of your character and how much gold you got written down here, right? Like, it's all there. But you've got to imagine your character. I've had players to generate their character online or draw their character. I had a really creative player once who would draw his character. He'd just sit there drawing while we were playing, right? And that was great, but you had to use your imagination to say, I'm in this location. The dungeon master just said there's a door on the right, there's a bookshelf on the left, there's a strange table in the middle with some bubbling liquid inside a goblet. The walls are all stone, but the ceiling is wood, so maybe imply that there is a second story. You know, like, you start really having to use your imagination. Yes, we can use maps. We would draw maps a lot. I would either draw it, or I would say, you know, you guys got to draw the map if you want to have a map. You can also use special tiles, especially needed during battles. You have a 1" by 1" squares, and you have a big mat, and then you can say this is the shape of the room. And if you have dry erase markers and a mat that's dry erasable, then you would just quickly draw this is the shape of the room, right? And then you would use your little figurines for the bad guys and the good guys and where you're all standing, right? So then you can better think, can I see that person or not? Or line of sight, some weapons and magical spells, line of sight or distance, right? You got to know these variables to play. It can all be done without the miniatures, without the maps, right? As long as everyone has a good memory and is creative enough to understand those dynamics. No, there was a better word. Process? No. I don't know the word. Anyway. So, but the idea is that you got your mind going. So, I'm playing video games. I'm getting strategy. My mind is thinking. Friday nights, Saturday nights, I'll play video games and try to relax. But what I'm doing is my mind is actually working harder because I'm stuck in the strategy, right? And Dungeons and Dragons, you think, oh, you're reading with friends, having a good time. But you're running your imagination and your creativity, and you're really working your brain, right? So that's good stuff. It keeps your mind going. When we talk about people with growing dementia issues, you know, just keep your mind going is something that they tell you to do. So I think the more you were using your brain when you're younger, I think the better your brain is going to be when you're older. So playing the video games, playing board games or strategy games or the creativity games, the Dungeons and Dragons, the Pathfinder. I think there was a superhero one, but we played it once. I didn't enjoy it. I almost started playing Pathfinder because it was based on a little bit easier D20, the D20 die roll and stuff. But the newer editions of Dungeons and Dragons, God, what's going on with my face? There's something on me. Cat hair. Probably cat hair stuck on my face. I don't know, on my nose. But we use these games. If you use them right and you really get into the strategy, your brain is really going, man. Your brain is going. And if you're a slower thinker like me, you annoy everyone else playing. But I see our friends' children growing up. They're like in their teens now. And they want to play video games. And they call me over to play video games. Or not video games, the board games with them. It is so sad when you lose a game against a 15-year-old. Big brains, very creative, quick thinkers, quick learners. When they realize something's not working, they are willing to learn and change strategies so they could win more, right? So keeps me on my toes. So yeah, I think the creativity and imagination, I think it's a very important part of starting your small business or hiring your first employee or something like that, right? Because you've got to imagine how this person is going to work for you. And you got to get creative on how you're going to make them, mold them into the perfect employee. And it's too often when we hire somebody, we want the most experienced person so that they can just hit the ground running and we don't have to train them and we don't have to do anything. I think that's a mistake, because you pull someone in who's set in their ways, they might be hard to train. So when you realize that they're messing up and you try to correct them with more training, whatnot, they don't listen. They're not that fertile young sponge that are willing to learn and grow new ideas, right? So it may be beneficial to get someone who's maybe not younger, but at least new to your industry, so that their mind is automatically thinking, I got to learn how to do this. So I think that automatically makes new employees kind of open to the learning and the training. So you got that window of a new employee who's like, I got to learn this role or else I'm going to get fired. If they learn it wrong, they become an employee who does just the basic work. No reason to fire them, but no reason to give them accolades, right? They don't become the rock star. But if they can get creative and use their imagination on how they can learn and grow in that role, oh, amazing, right? And if you, the owner, the manager, the supervisor, the boss, can get in there in that early time and let them learn and let them have the ability to continue learning, allow them to know that it is good, that they're creative and are trying to fix things or make things work better with what they're learning and what they're doing. I mean, that's important. Man, that's so important. So, yeah. So that's how these games, we can use these to our advantage. Man, if I had an office and a lunchroom or a boardroom where we let everybody eat their lunch at lunchtime, tea's done, tea's over, I would bring all kinds of quick little games into the office and allow people to play. Maybe we have an ongoing tournament of certain quick games, right? obviously you're not going to sit down and you're not going to play the long games. Anything that's average play is more than 30 minutes. That's not the board game you want in the office, right? You want these quick games that can happen in 15 minutes type thing. That's the game you want in your lunchroom. And I encourage employees to bring it in. Just make sure, a lot of times the games will say average gameplay length. This one does not say. It says how many players and ages. Maybe there's an instruction book inside. So a lot of times it's like, get ready to play your game. Each game should take about 15 minutes or 60 minutes or... I don't know why this one's not telling me. They would have done all kinds of research and get ready to play. Each game should take about so much time, right? So look for the games. Look for it. A lot of them will say average gameplay, and it's usually on the box, right? So I would look for that sort of stuff. And one game I'm thinking of, as I mentioned it at the top of the show, Gloom. This is Gloom's second edition by Keith Baker. It is a card game, and it is really dark, a little bit sadistic. We talked about my friend pulling the spine and the skull out of a non-player character in a bar fight in Dungeons and Dragons. That, I believe, came from Predator when he was pulling out the spines and skulls and taking them for trophies. That was exactly what I was envisioning. So this game, Gloom, if you're like darker games, oh my god, you're going to love Gloom. You can go check it out on Amazon here with this QR code link. This is an affiliate link, so if you do purchase it through this link, I thank you very much. I might make 30 cents. But we look at this card game. I've never seen anything so unique before. Try to explain it, but I'm gonna. I think there's certain levels of the game too, so there's certain cards you play with, and there's certain cards you don't play with. I'm just trying to pull them out here so we can see them. Okay. I'll have to do a big sort of them. They seem wrong. So I'm going to... So the idea of Gloom. You have a family that you are representing. Here's a family. They're color-coded by having a green card, but you can see they're translucent, right? These cards are so unique. They're plastic. And you have this family. Here's your characters. Usually 4 or 5 family members. I think with a larger game, you have more family members. A smaller game, like if you only got 2 people, I think you play with less family members or something like that, right? So you have these family. This is your family. The idea is you are trying to kill off your family. Yeah, that's dark. So you have a character, Balthazar, the unfaithful hound, Balthazar knows where all the bodies are buried, right? This is a dog. This is the family dog. So this is a character you might have in your game. You put your family out in front of you on the playing field. And now you have your family out and you're trying to kill them. And the cards, you shuffle the deck, and they're clear cards like this. You can see this is the back side of the card that is face up on the deck, so you can't see what's going on. There's some weird dots here. But when you flip it over, there's instructions, flavor text, the name of the card up across the banner, and then these plus or minus things. You are trying to get negative points on your family. So if I'm playing this card, had a horrible holiday, and you got to kind of act it out. You know, Balthazar, the unfaithful hound, had a horrible holiday. And this goes on your hound. So now he's got a special icon that's been attributed to him now. And he's got these two negatives. This is negative 40. You want negatives. The idea is to get as negative as possible and then kill your character. So if you just killed your character, you wouldn't get any points. You want to get as many negative as possible, your negative points as possible. So this is minus 40 right now. So if I was able to do this death card is called Baked into a Pie. And it's got some extra stuff. It's worth an extra negative 10 if it has this icon on it. It's not the right icon. But Balthazar, the family hound, after having a terrible vacation, which got him the negative points and this marker, was baked into a pie. Was that part of his vacation? Maybe. I don't know. But you tell the story every time you put a new card on this, right? And it just makes it interesting. Okay, I've killed Balthazar. Now the family dog, and I get negative 40 points, and I've killed off one of my family members. So I'd have to kill off more family members, and I can't remember how the game ends. Can't remember if it's a number of rounds or the first person to kill off their whole family ends the game, I think. So you kill off your whole family, and you've made a certain amount of negative points. Now, there are other cards in the deck that someone could put on your family members also. So this card says, slept without sorrows. So you had a good sleep. So if, I didn't kill the family dog, I put that on, and these dots cover up other dots when they're overlaid, right? So we had Hadabor. So we had Balthazar. He had a horrible holiday, right? Got negative points. He's not dead yet. Then the other player plays this card. Had a good sleep though, right? Slept without sorrows. He had a bad holiday, but he had a good sleep when he got home. So, do you see what happened there? There was two negative 20s. Now there's a negative 20 and a plus 10. So if I killed Balthazar now, I would only get negative 10 points. Right? This card also covered up this special icon that he got because of the holiday. So it covers up two things, those little dots, but it's just so cool the way they just stack on each other, covering stuff up. You can get multiple cards stacked up and just completely change what happened to this poor character, right? It is really cool. It is really dark, and I think that's what makes it fun. So if you're really into a darker game, definitely consider purchasing Gloom. There are some, I noticed on Amazon, there was a couple, like, I don't know if it's different versions or if it's expansion packs, but you could get those also and start playing with those. And I think I'm trying to remember how long the gameplay is on this. I think it comes into 15-20 minutes for a game if you got like 4 people playing. So it's pretty quick. Could be a game that you could put in your lunchroom if you like the darker games for your players. I mean, that might be a real negative type game to be putting in your lunchroom. It's rather dark, but maybe that's okay. Maybe you like that kind of craziness, right? And so I like to relate this sort of stuff back to the business and things like that. So I got a few other card games. I'll talk about them next Friday, or I'll talk about one next Friday. And I really enjoy this game. I suddenly really want to play it. So I'll try to convince someone to play this game with me. And we got no chats today. We haven't even seen the stream boo from the live stream on Twitch. Of course, I try to live stream on 5 different services: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter X. That's where I live stream. And then I will take clips of each of these shows and I'll send them to LinkedIn, YouTube, my Facebook page, Twitter X, and TikTok. So that's the difference, because Twitch doesn't allow me to upload the short little vertical captions. So that's fine. I want to say thank you for those people who watch the show. You can always ask me a question in any of my podcasts in the comments, and I'll try to address it in the next show. If you need to get a hold of me, absolutely use all my links. There's a discovery call meeting there if you want to ask me some questions about HR, maybe set up some consulting services. But I think the most important thing, if you got a small business, is if you have staff drama going on, I got a great little ebook up there that you can get, and it'll help you start solving your staff drama issues in about 5 days. So it's kind of the basic HR strategy, right? I think it's very important for a small but growing organization. Anyway, my name is Ian. I'm going to let you go.